Cash Holders, Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to the Legends Edition. My name is Daniel Wahome and I'm sitting in for Catherine Kasavuli, who could not make it today, and we wish her well. But as we get into this bulletin, why don't we first get the highlights?
And therefore, there's value to have a vibrant, robust, and resilient public healthcare system that in case we have a case in the country, we will be sure that it can be contained and we can act to it.
Medics say Kenya is ill-prepared. The body of Helen Wendy, who drowned in Canada, airlifted home. And the elderly seek protection as the world marks the International Day for Senior Citizens. A very good evening to you and welcome to our bulletin. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Lucy Maura. Now, the country is ill-prepared to handle cases of the Ebola hemorrhagic disease. Doctors affiliated to the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Pharmacist Dentist Union have subsequently called on the government to put in place standard operating procedures in all health facilities to ensure that if a case is detected, it is handled immediately.
The doctors claim that the fact that the Sudan strain of Ebola that has been detected in Uganda does not have a known vaccine could compound the situation in Kenya if a case of Ebola was to be confirmed with the current low level of preparedness. The doctors dismissing claims by the Ministry of Health that the country is well equipped.
Our borders are extremely porous, and there is also no clear-cut systems that have been put in place to show that those who are coming in are actually getting tested, and there is a process that is taken to contain that. So as of now, we will say the borders are very porous, and therefore more need to be done and more need to be beefed in it to make it better. And therefore there's value to have a vibrant, robust, and resilient public healthcare system that in case we have a case in the country, we will be sure that it can be contained and we can act to it.
They are urging the government to employ more health workers, train them on the responsive mechanism when dealing with Ebola-related cases, and more so conduct rapid screening at the border point as they intensify border surveillance.
We need to have a response team, surveillance, and effective case management, that if a case occurs in any of our borders, then there would be a scare to have many healthcare workers having been exposed before results come in. It should be able to be identified, contained, and managed.
We are also working on supplies, particularly test kits, and these will not only be for Uganda but also the surrounding countries in terms of readiness, and we are reviewing the PPE stockpiles that we have to ensure that they're being made available as quickly as possible where they are needed within the country and at border points with the neighboring country.
Kenya has no confirmed cases of Ebola deaths. This even as neighboring Uganda, the first doctor and second health worker died of Ebola on Saturday. The doctor is a Tanzanian national studying in Uganda. So far, a total of 31 cases of Ebola have been confirmed and 6 deaths reported in Uganda. The healthcare workers are calling upon the government to invest more on health sector that will combat any effect of Ebola case in the country. Opicho Chemtai for Legend Edition.
Let's move on to a rather sad story where the body of the late Helen Wendy Nyabuto, a Kenyan nurse who drowned in Canada, was received at the JKIA this afternoon. The deceased will be buried in Tuneka Village, Kisii County on Monday. Ms. Nyabuto drowned in a swimming pool in Canada in mid-August this year. Her father, John Nyabuto, has eulogized his firstborn as a friend and an inspiration to her siblings.
The video of the late 24-year-old Helen Wendy Nyabuto drowning in a swimming pool while in Canada got the attention of Kenyans on social media platforms. Helen, who was evidently having fun with herself, died on August 18th, 2022. According to her family, Wendy, who worked as a nurse in Ontario, Canada, relocated from Kenya right after her high school to seek greener pastures. She pursued a nursing course in Canada before getting employed in the same country in her profession. Wendy was to reunite with her family this December after being away for close to 5 years, but this would not happen. Wendy returned back home but in a casket.
Mungu ametusaidia hadi tumefikisha mwili hapa. Sasa tutampumzisha, muendelee tu kutuombea.
Tumefika hapa kutoka ng'ambo Canada. Safari ilikuwa ndefu na yenye kibarua kigumu sana, lakini Mungu ametusaidia. Tunashukuru Mungu kwa vile ametusaidia mpaka tumefika hapa, na tuko na uchungu. Ndio tumepoteza mtoto ambaye alikuwa tegemeo letu, lakini sasa tufanyeje? Hatuna namna, lazima tukubali kifo kipo. Lazima kila mmoja wetu atakufa wakati mmoja au mwingine, ila tu ni wakati. Sasa Wendy wakati wake ulifika.
Relatives and friends have eulogized the late as someone who aspired to achieve her dreams.
She was a pillar in our family, and she's been a very good lady, and she's been a very good friend for everybody. In fact, we've lost a charming, a loving, and a very caring lady in our family.
The body of the late has been taken to Lee Funeral Home ahead of burial next week. Irene Mchuma Odem, The Legends Edition.
Well, another sad story follows that. A man hacked his wife to death with a machete before committing suicide in Ivinganzia area of Makueni County. Confirming the incident, Area Assistant Chief Alex Mwendo said the deceased had deep cuts on the body. In Githongori, a man is reported to have committed suicide after a robbery incident in his house. More details from our reporters.
A dark cloud hangs in Vinganzinga area of Makueni County. This after an incident where a middle-aged woman was hacked to death by her husband, who later committed suicide. While confirming the incident, Area Assistant Chief Alex Mwendo noted that the unfortunate incident happened in their house. According to Mwendo, the man took his life soon after.
Mwendo wa usiku around saa 7:15 niliweza kupigiwa simu na wananchi wa sublocation ya kwangu. Nikaelezwa kwamba kuna mtu ambaye anashukiwa kwamba amekata mtu, na mwenye kukatwa alionekana kama ameanguka chini, ni mwanamke. Na hapo kwa hapo nilitoka moja kwa moja kufika kule, na then baada ya kufika ndio nikapata ameweza kuzirai, ameanguka hapumui.
Eyewitnesses say the couple was living happily, with the incident coming as a shock.
Kulikuwa na chairman mwingine wa kanisa alikuwa anakujia report, maana madamu mwenyewe walikuwa catechist wa kanisa. Hiyo chairman, maana wakati alikuwa pale, huyo kijana alikuwa nimeanza kumchapa, chairman akaingilia, wakatanganya, wakasaidia kusimamisha hiyo. Chairman akamwambia, mwanamke akamwambia, usiache huyu kijana hapa, ukimwacha anaweza kuniumiza. Chairman akamchukua, akamtoa. Nimesikia ameenda karibu dakika 5. Akatoka kwa motorbike akarudi. Na huyo kijana wakati huo alikuwa na panga 2.
Meanwhile, a middle-aged man has committed suicide by drowning after he found his house broken into and his household items stolen. According to the deceased cousin, William Gashura, his nephew broke the news to him and the family.
Nilikuja hapa na nikaita kijana yake, yule alikuwa ananiomba simu. Nilikuja nikamuita hapa wakati tulifika asubuhi baada ya kupata habari, na nikamuuliza kwani tangu uliniomba simu kuliendaje? Kaniambia baba alikuja na akasema sasa yule mtu amemuibia, Mungu atamlipishia, lakini kwanza hapo ikawaje? Tumelala tukisubuana na yeye, anasema ati yeye hataki kukaa duniani tena. Tuliongea na kijana yake vizuri, juu ni kijana mkubwa kwenda anatahiri mwaka huu. Sasa kaniambia ni kama alipatwa na shida kwa mafikira yake sasa.
Confirming the incident, Martin Ngugi, an officer with Kiambu Fire Brigade, said they had retrieved the body of the deceased from the river.
Na tumeweza kufanikiwa kutoa mwili wa jamaa fulani ambaye anasemekana alijitupa kwa maji. Tuliarifiwa tukiwa kazini, tulipigiwa simu tukaambiwa kuna mtu anasemekana alijitumbukiza kwa maji ambao ni kujiua. Tukarespond kwa haraka sana.
The deceased was later taken to McCoy Mortuary in Githunguri town. Finally, a family in Kericho County is seeking justice after their son, a Class 8 pupil at St. Teresa Primary School, Kipchimchim in Kericho, allegedly committed suicide after being assaulted by a teacher. The deceased father, Dr. Richard Siele, claims the post-mortem report showed the ladder had been caned.
The facilitator of the child who goes to the dormitory in odd hours is also should be checked, because that is also what could have caused, because children normally they are very short term in their reaction. If you live a long term, you tell them something and then repeat them, whatever it happened, give them some time, you'll find the child actually recovering and you'll be very happy after some time. So the beating and hurriedly telling the child to go to the dormitory is a suspicion to us, which has resulted to the death of the child.
Kericho Sub-County Police Commander Abdul Kadir and the DCIO Rhoda Kanyi said investigations on the incident are ongoing.
We received a report from the headmaster, St. Teresa Primary School, a report which was made to Ainamoi Police Station, that one of his student, a Class 8 student, age 14 years old, committed suicide. Immediately after receiving the report, police officers, comprises of DCI officers, visited the school, the scene where the child committed the act of suicide, and established that the body of the child was found in the bathroom, hanging from the roof.
As a community, let us have conversations every day about how we live our lives. Now, moving on is that Catholic faithful have been urged to be at the lead of conversations and efforts to preach peace at all times. Catholic faithful who congregated at the Subukia Shrine in Nakuru County for their National Prayer Day were urged to pray for cohesion and the reconciliation of the country. Nancy Okware has got this story.
Saturday morning at Subukia Shrine, popularly known as the village of Mary Mother of God in Nakuru County. Pilgrims from all the Catholic dioceses are gathered for the National Prayer Day that is held every year. Some of them spending the night at this shrine, praying in readiness for the day.
Safari yetu ilianza Thursday jioni kwa sababu tulitembea. Huwa tunatembea tukifanya sala. Tunakuja mpaka hadi hapa shrine. Then tukifika hapa tunafanya maombi. Haka ukiangalia around hapa hakunaga structures, boarding structures. So ukifika hapa kuna hiyo sacrifice bado ya kulala nje.
Jana tulikuja hapa saa 10 hivi na tumelala hapa. Baridi iko hapa mingi, hata hivyo watu wamevumilia na imekuwa vizuri sana.
Tulitoka mapema sana Githurai because tunajua huku watu wanakujanga mapema sana, but by 3 o'clock In fact, by some minutes to 3 tulikuwa hapa, tulienda tukachota maji tukarudisha kwa basi. We had all the time. Alafu kutoka hapa tukaenda kule mlimani, tukaenda njia ya msalaba.
At the shrine, there is a stream of water that the faithful believe is holy and bears healing, and those in attendance made sure to carry some using jerrycans.
So kama kuna maumivu, ukichanganya hii maji na kidogo ambayo labda ni ya bath, unastukia maumivu yameisha. Actually hata hiyo uchovu yenye una encounter wakati unakuja, you don't experience it anymore.
Business people taking this chance to make a coin or two from the thousands of congregants. The prayer day held this year under the theme, God's Family Journeying Together in a United and Environment Sustainable Kenya. Christian faithful urged to continue preaching peace and coexist as one.
Tujione kama ni ndugu, ni wanafamilia moja, na tunahitaji kuwa karibu na Mungu.
We thank God for the peace in our country, for responding to the call to go out and vote and to remain peaceful.
The newly elected leaders were also challenged to deliver on their promises and fight the dragon of corruption.
That they have been elected to serve all Kenyans. We therefore ask them to be inclusive in their choice of those whom they will appoint in various offices and seek to address the real issues that are affecting the lives of Kenyans.
Leaders from Nakuru County, led by Governor Susan Kihika, were also in attendance.
As the church continues to urge members of the public to maintain peace, it is also calling for environmental conservation at a time when the globe is facing the severe effects of climate change. Nancy Okware, reporting for Legends Edition from Subukia Shrine in Nakuru County.
Thank you very much, Nancy Okware, for that story on the Catholic faithful who are at the Subukia Shrine this weekend. We'll be taking our first break right now, but when we get back, let's get the story from John Jacob Kuria about Mwendwa Mbijiwe. He has been missing for 1.5 years. Mwendwa Mbijiwe is best known as a security consultant. For that and more, let's have this short break.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
At KBC Channel 1, we put people at the heart of events with our captivating weekly news features. Every day, we are breaking new grounds with informative, entertaining, and inspiring human interest stories. On Mondays, 9 p.m., we have The Cabinets. Tuesday, 9 p.m., we get inside the barracks for military tales. We delve in the world of cinemas and theater each Wednesday night. For the young and industrious, make a date with us every Thursday at 9 p.m. Fridays are dedicated for my culture. On Saturdays, we go back in time for history in perspective. And on Sundays, we get to know the process of how things are done and made. KBC Channel 1 News features a whole lot of wonderful viewing experience.
And welcome back to the Legends Edition on KBC Channel 1. My name is Daniel Wahome. Our sign language interpreter is Lucy Moura. Let's move on with the stories. And as Kenya joins the world in marking the International Day of the Elderly, stakeholders in Kisii have called for respect and protection of the elderly. The stakeholders, drawn from the national government, civil society organizations, and gender activists, condemned acts of violence meted against the elderly.
Observed every 1st of October globally, the International Day of Older Persons was introduced by the United Nations General Assembly with the aim of honoring the contribution of older persons and looking into the problems they face. Marking the occasion at Nyakonyi in Kisii County, Director for Social Development Lysel Mogaka attributed the plight of the elderly to land limitations, lack of resources and cultural practices including non-inheritance of land by daughters and widows in sections of society.
And the abusers are not strangers, they are family members, either neighbors or people who are known to you. So we want to ensure that there is that collaboration among the old generation and the young generation to ensure that human rights are well taken care of, particularly emphasizing on the rights of the older persons.
Judo Togo, Country Director, Helpage International Kenya, decried unfriendly policies which do not favor old persons.
Let's consider ways of putting in place an environment that enables older people to be resilient, an environment that safeguards the rights and well-being of older people.
Various officials from civil society organizations and gender activists also condemned cultural practices that brought suffering to the elderly.
We are here to mark the World Elderly Day, tukimark in Nyagonyi, being that here we had victims, we had even survivors. Na because of the impact it created in Kisii, ni vizuri sana kwamba tumekuwa hapa na tuko hapa siku ya leo kuidhinisha hii siku na kupeana umuhimu wa kuchunga mzazi aliye kati ya miaka 60 kuendelea juu, because these are people we have in the society, these are people we are supposed to take care of, and these are people who depend solely on us.
Useeka sio kolego, hata wewe kijana utaseeka ukue kama mimi mzee, utachoma. Hiyo ni ukweli ama ni uongo? Wacha kusumbua wasee na wamama, sio walogi.
Trevor Ngendo for Legends Edition.
Now, it is now 18 months and 15 days since Mwendwa Mbijiwe, a security expert, went missing without a trace. Mbijiwe's family remains distraught but hopeful that they will see their son alive one day. With over a year gone, they are appealing to President William Ruto and Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to help find their son.
In Sirimon, Buri West Sub-County, Meru County, a family lives in fear, but hopeful that a dark chapter that began on June 12, 2021 will come to a close somehow. The family of Gatweri Binjiwe, the mother of Mwenda Binjiwe, a security expert who disappeared without a trace while he was traveling from Nairobi to his mother's home, remains in the dark on the whereabouts of their son. The car he hired to travel to Meru was discovered abandoned in a coffee plantation near Tatu City, Kiambu County. The family now lives in suspense, but remains cautiously optimistic that they will reunite with their son.
Miata nisipokuambia maisani, unajua hiyo kitu imenikula kichwa. Kama familia aturali, atufanyi lolote, kila wakati ni kufikiria tu. Tukisikia ngali imesimama hata usiku wa saa 8 ya usiku tunafikiria ni Mwenda analetwa. Tunaamuka hakuna kupata usingizi. Kwanza mimi sleepless nights mpaka imeniletea magonjwa ambayo sikuwa nayo ya hypertension.
Despite recent incidents of alleged extrajudicial killings and bodies being dumped in rivers and thickets, Gatwiri is hopeful that her son is alive.
We are getting information from every corner. So tunajua mali Mwenda ako, Mungu anamlinda. Hata kama atakuja akiwa amekonda, hakuna shinda. Niko na marafiki hao watu wa ceremony, watamshinjia, watamfanyia kila kitu, na within a month atatoka kwenda kujitafutia kama wanaume wengine.
But the family also lives in fear of the unknown, careful about what to say and to whom, particularly on the phone.
Up to now, I don't use my phones.
each and every person that I can talk to, that guy will be tracked. I've gone for DNA tests like 7 times. No positive results about my bro, of which comes to a summary that gives us a lot of faith and hope that my brother is very much alive.
The family is now appealing to President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua to get to the bottom of the matter and ensure Mbijiwe reunites with his family.
Ninaomba tu Deputy President na President Ruto wanionee huruma na watu wa ceremony ambaye aliahidi wakati wa kampeni. Anajua prominent people kwa serikali wako na mwenda, na akasema hao watu wako na mwenda hawawezi kuhusika wakati ule wa kampeni. Nasi tukaomba, tukawachagua, tukawapigia kura na sasa wako kwa kiti. Ninaomba tu nikinyenyekea atuletee mwenda, na tutashukuru Mungu, tutaendelea kumuombea na najua Mungu anaenda kutenda makuu na maji.
Tunamuomba atuletee mtoto wetu mwenda. Sisi tuko na huzuni, tumekaa, tulikuwa na mwenda, tunakaa vizuri. Mwenda ni mtu mzuri, anakaa na watu kwa kijiji, anakaa na watu wote, anapenda watu.
John Jacob Kuria, Legends Edition.
And we pray that the family of Mwendwa Mbijiwe gets closure and they get to find their son. Now, let's move on to a better story where it was celebration at Larry Boys High School from Central Region after the school emerged winners in this year's music festivals held in Kisumu. It is the first time a school in Central Kenya has bagged a trophy in the festival's history spanning 4 decades. As Pauline Nasimi reports, the school says the win was a culmination of hard work and practice.
Celebrations rocked the air at Larry Boys High School in Kiambu County. Teachers and students came together to celebrate the victory in the just concluded 2022 National Festivals in Kisumu. For the first time in the history since the launch of school music festivals spanning over 4 decades, a school from the Central Region had won in a traditional dance category. And this is how they did it in Kisumu to claim the coveted prize. Nathan Kanchali, one of the participants, narrates the meaning of the dance.
It is normally sung by the young Maasai Morans during their happy occasions, to sing for their cows, at the time for initiations for boys.
Paris Masharia, the school music teacher, congratulated the team for trouncing their rivals in the region.
There is a region that is known that it is the one that wins all the years in this folk song. That is the Rift Valley region, and this time we were able to beat them. Their schools were placed position 4th and 6th, and Larry Boys emerged position 1 in the Maasai traditional folk song with 92 marks.
Larry Boys principal Peter Wambugo noted that most talents have been wasted over the years, but since the inception of the competency-based curriculum CBC, it has helped and will continue to help nurture young talents.
CBC is a very, very bright idea, a very good idea, which should have taken place earlier, long time ago. Because when I look at my boys and others in this country, you cannot imagine how much talent has been wasted or along that line. So the CBC is a very bright idea because it shall be able to cater for such people. They can be able to take this talent further, maybe use it as a form of employment.
Pauline Nasimi for Legends Edition.
The beauty of the diversity of Kenya's culture. And it is at that point that we take a break from our general news. When we get back, we'll be talking sports, including the latest update from the Malkia Strikers' participation at the FIVB Women's World Championships in Arnhem, Holland.
parasitic worm that causes filarial hydrosal are also spread by mosquitoes from person to person.
Kama hivi nafanya na mama Fumbo wewe. Uliyapata wapi? Na mimi ninamwambia mimi mwenyewe pia ninashangaa.
Nikasema mimi hata kama iko na mshipa iko vipi, lakini vile nilikuja alikuwa hana mshipa kama ule, mimi siwezi mwacha. Mimi naendelea naye hivyo hivyo.
So if people are going to take drugs for all those consecutive years, it is believed that the disease will be at lower level.
Question going to be under general knowledge.
3 counties.
3 counties. That's your final answer?
Wrong answer.
Oh, that is the wrong answer. You have 3, 2, 1, go. Genius, he says Nakuru County. Is that answer correct?
Correct answer.
That answer is correct. You get 2,000 bob. Oh, geography 10.
To get Change Your Thinking Skizatune, dial star 811 star 961 hash.
When you your life, sometimes instantly, just as positive words can make someone calm, smile or laugh, your thoughts will react to the world in real time. So, change the quality of your thinking.
Dial star 811 star 961 hash. Star 811 star 961 hash.
Nilifanya tu hivi macho, nikaangalia kando hivi, nikaona kuna kaburi imechimbwa. Ndio alikuwa anaongelesha yule pale, anamuonyesha.
Mimi sikujua mwenzangu anaenda kuwekwa kwa room. Akawekwa wiki moja bila food na siku 3 akawekwa bila food. Sasa venye nilikuwa napita nikasikia akiniita na sauti ya chini.
Both destination labor market countries to come up with a framework or legal framework where they will blacklist or ban the families that perpetually they harass our people.
So once a person moves out of Kenya and goes to another country to work, it's the state's or the government's responsibility to ensure that they are safe where they go.
And welcome back to the Legends Edition on KBC Channel 1. And let's move on to the sport, where the national women's volleyball team, the Malkia Strikers, have been bundled out of the ongoing Women's World Championships in the Netherlands after losing by 3-1 to Puerto Rico. Malkia went down fighting in 3 sets of 15-25, 25-19, 18-25 and 18-25 to exit the competition after their final Group A match. Kenya needed to win the fixture to stay in contention for a place in the second round. Kenya had beaten Cameroon but lost to the Netherlands, Belgium and Italy. And away from volleyball, Kenya Police FC beat Nairobi City Stars by 2-0 to lift the inaugural Elite Pre-Season Cup in a derby staged at the Nyayo National Stadium today. Police booked their place in the final on Thursday after beating Bidco United by 1-0.
Police FC won the pre-season annual cup after beating Nairobi City Stars 2-0 at the Nyayo Stadium. Police took the lead in the 63rd minute through David Simiyu, who dinked the ball past the on-rushing goalkeeper, giving his team a lead.
Goli la kwanza kwa faida ya Police FC.
The law enforcers doubled their lead in the 74th minute after City Stars failed to clear their lines as Marvin Nabwira, who was waiting just outside the box, had the ball fall and he fired it home. Police managed to see off the game as they limited City Stars to very few chances until the final whistle of the game. The team bagged 1 million Kenya shilling, which was the cash prize for the winning team. Nora Mwangi for Legends Edition.
Wanasalimiana pale na anakabidhiwa nahodha Nyo Kaboya, mabingwa wa Elite.
And away from football, Strathmore University Scorpions defeated Amira Sailors 3-0 at the City Park Stadium to open a 5-point gap at the top of the Kenya Hockey Union Women's Premier League. Goals from Gil Okumu, Angela Bahati and Nicole Odhiambo propelled Strathmore to victory. However, their men's team lost by 2-1 to Green Sharks after a brace from Green Sharks forward Leonard Rioba. In another match, Kisumu-based Lakers thrashed Sliders 4-0. Meanwhile, Kenyatta University defeated Mombasa Sports Club 2-1 at the Aryan Sports Ground in the Women's Super League, while Sikh Union beat Wazalendo Masters 6-2 at the Dash Mesh Stadium in the men's match. In the Nationwide League, Kisii Falcons trounced Nandi Hawks by a 1-0 in Kapsabet. Now, Young City registered their first win of the season after beating University of Eldoret Pipers 34-27 in a men's handball league match played at the Nyayo National Stadium. Young City put themselves in the driving seat, taking a 14-11 halftime lead. The team, composed of deaf players, would add 13 more points in the second half to clinch the morale-boosting win. Dixon Minyange emerged as the top marksman for the victors with 8 goals as Saul Mwadhini added 5. Pipers, who have now lost all their 4 games this season, had Nehemiah Kosgei as their top scorer with 8 goals. The win lifts Young City from the bottom of the 19-team league standings up to 14th with 2 points, while UAE Pipers, Spartans, Technical University of Kenya and Boomerang remain winless this campaign. And the ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket Division 2 Africa World Cup qualifier match between Kenya and Ghana was abandoned without a ball being bowled after the West African team failed to show up for the match at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja, Nigeria. The Kenyan juniors were hoping to stretch their winning streak after beating Malawi by 286 runs on the Duckworth-Lewis system. In their opening match, Kenya will face Mozambique in their third match on the 5th of this month, that is Wednesday. Kenya is in Group A alongside Malawi, Ghana and Mozambique. Group B has Sierra Leone, Botswana, Rwanda and the host Nigeria. The 2 finalists and the third best placed team following the event conclusion on the 8th of this month will join Namibia, Tanzania and Uganda in next year's Africa World Cup qualifiers proper. Now, the London Marathon champion Jocelyn Jepkosgei says she is optimistic that she will retain her title when she takes part in this year's edition, set for tomorrow in the streets of the United Kingdom's capital city. Meanwhile, environmental protesters are saying that they will be on the streets, and they say that the event will seriously disrupt the London Marathon tomorrow.
Defending champion Jocelyn Jepkosgei says she's ready to retain her London Marathon title she won last year. The 2019 New York Marathon champion will be looking to bounce back after finishing 7th in the 2022 Boston Marathon. Jepkosgei, together with Judith Korir, will spearhead Kenya's quest for domination after the withdrawal of 2-time champion and world record holder Bridget Kosgei. Kosgei withdrew from the event due to a right hamstring injury that had bothered her for the last month. The 28-year-old Kenyan mother of twins shattered the world record by 81 seconds at the 2019 Chicago Marathon. Amos Kipruto and Vincent Kipchumba will carry Kenya's flag in the men's competition. Kipruto, who won a bronze medal in 2019 in World Marathon, will be seeking his first marathon title, while Kipchumba will be hoping to clinch this year's title after finishing second last year. He clocked 2 hours, 4 minutes and 28 seconds to finish second behind Ethiopia's Sisei Lema. Meanwhile, Environmental protests are planning protests which they claim could seriously disrupt the London Marathon tomorrow. A group calling themselves Just Stop Oil said it was planning mass demonstrations which it hopes will close down central London this weekend. For Legends Edition, I'm Nora Mwangi.
Well, and besides the London Marathon, we also have the Frankfurt Marathon tomorrow. Now, Equity Tunis defeated Lakeside 83 points to 57 in a one-sided encounter played today at the Nyao National Stadium to move up to second spot in the league standings. Equity won the first and second quarters 16-13 and 26-22 respectively. Lakeside came back strong in the third quarter but lost 13-12 before Equity won the fourth quarter 28-10. Joshua Kisali was the top scorer after he contributed 18 points while Alex Ongiso 17 points guided them to victory. Kennedy Okumu was the top scorer for the losers, contributing 18 points, while JB Malik managed 14 points. In another match played today, Thunder defeated Eldoret Platinum 89-66. That is the Legends Edition tonight on KBC Channel 1. But you know, every Saturday we've got a story about people who've made an impact one way or another every day. But tonight's edition of the Living Legends is different because tomorrow morning when you wake up at around 8 a.m., you'll be watching him on KBC Channel 1. For the last 25 years, we know about the program known as Turning Point International. You may know the name Victor Oladokun. You may know the name Kathy Edwards. From CBN News to the 700 Club till 1997 when they introduced the program Turning Point International. And for the last 25 years, KBC Channel 1 has brought you that program. And Turning Point International celebrated 25 years of the program in Kenya. And I got to speak to the host of the program, Miua Olareraju. And you know what the story is? His story is also one of a turning point. Let's listen to this program tonight where we connect KBC Channel 1 and a program that's been there for the last 25 years on this program. My name is Daniel Wahome. Watch the Living Legends episode today and remember, tomorrow morning, catch Turning Point International. My name is Daniel Wahome. Thank you for being with us. Our sign language interpreter has been Lucy Mwaura. And I'll also tell you this, you're welcome to keep getting in touch with us. Have a good evening and be blessed. Hello, my name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to this edition of The Living Legends. And today, we will not focus on Kenyan, but it's a program that has had Kenyans featured in it and the impact of it has been long spoken about. 25 years you've watched this program on KBC Channel 1. And it is about stories of real people and how their faith has been impacted. And also, it brings in a little bit of music, and it's always fun, and this conversation continues. 25 years of watching it. Well, when I was, talking about it, I thought it had gone on for 30 years, but there are more programs around that, and the hosts have been there forever. Think of the names, Kathy Edwards and Dr. Victor Oladokun. It only tells you about Turning Point. And as they celebrate 25 years, we host them on The Living Legends. And we are with the current host of the program, Miua Olareraju. Welcome, Karibu.
Thank you.
I hope I pronounced that right.
Good shot. Good shot. You hit the target slightly left southeast of bullseye, but you were in the.
On a darts board, if you move slightly to the east, it becomes one.
No, but yeah, I mean, you did much better because I mean, for 6 years in secondary school, my teachers didn't call me my name. They called me by my nickname because everyone was just so. I mean, it wasn't. They weren't scared. I think that the culture in the UK is it's a lot more tolerant now. But then people will say to me, "Why can't you have a normal name?" I'm like, "But my name is normal." But but why can't you just have a normal name like Colin? And I'm like, okay, call me Jeff.
So what was your nickname then?
Atom, ATOM.
You were the smallest in the class.
I was. It's an interesting story with that. I was small. Well, I wasn't so small. I was quite big, but I used to have moments of where I would disintegrate, you see. So the chemistry teacher thought he would be smart and call me Atom because I would explode and have little rages of, you know what teenagers do. They think the world revolves around them.
All right, but here you are, Nigerian roots, growing up in the UK. What's that life story that you have?
Nigerian roots in the UK, it's not unlike most, because if you're a man who you love your history and biography, so you'll know there was a generation of Nigerian children who was taken to the UK or given to the UK and left there with carers, people like Justin Fashanu, and people like that and generations before them.
Oh, that's a footballer, yes.
He's a footballer. I mention him because you're a sportsman, you see. But my story is not dissimilar in that I was taken back to the UK by my parents. Would just walk. So I'm a 12-year-old on the streets of London. My belongings on the floor.
What season was it?
This was it was autumn. We were heading towards winter because I remember I didn't have a heavy jacket on. And I didn't feel like crazy cold, but it was cold enough.
Music and getting into performing. How did this come about?
So my family are a bunch of creatives. My mother, when she was alive, was a singer. My father couldn't sing to save his life, but he was a very supportive creative. My mother was not only a broadcaster but also a musician. So I think we got it from there. So as we were growing up, we would, as a family, 4 of us, 2 girls and my younger brother, we would sing songs in the evenings. I remember my first ever song that I wrote was about food, and someone's watching thinking, I understand, that's how come you're so fat. But
All right, okay, now I won't let you get away with that. We'll continue, so there you are singing. And eventually, what about becoming a performing artist?
So I fell into it, and I'm so grateful. I'm one of these fortunate people that, some people train for it. I fell into it. It was just by accident. I was studying business studies. My mother didn't want me to. It was interesting. My mother was a broadcaster and a musician, but she didn't want me to do it. So she told me to do a degree in business studies, which I did, and I hated it. I mean, unfortunately, all you've heard me say a lot in this interview is I hated this, I hated that. I love life, it's just snapshots.
But everything looks more like another episode of Turning Point. Everything's changing from this point.
Absolutely. A turning point for me in that junction was studying business studies. It just happened, I saw a course, a music degree course, for which I thought my best friend would like, and I gave it to him. Then I thought, this is what I want to do. I didn't tell my mum, and we went, him and I, Eddie Martin his name is, we went for an audition at a course. It's the first time they will do that sort of course in the UK. It's called commercial music. So the son of head of Sony, head of EMI, they were all in this course. We had to audition, and they gave me a place, but they gave me a place and said, only if I passed my business studies. So I was doing the first year of a music degree at the same time as the final year of the business studies degree. And I usually say that's where I lost my hair, you know, which is, I mean, that's part of why I lost my hair, but also my heart was broken by a girl. So, you know.
Everyone has one of those moments.
Oh, baby, I could tell you.
What was the experience of this, you know, music for business?
It was an experience of coming to life for me. This was what I was born to do, to be doing music and studying. It was amazing to be able to fulfill what I thought was inside of me. But then there was also a turning point in that I wanted to do pop music. But actually, in my history was something of what we will call in the world I belong to, church world, a covenant that my mother had made with God, that I would be someone that would serve him. So I wanted to do pop music, but she'd already given me up for Christian music. And so I graduated, ended up working in Sony. So I looked after people like Mariah Carey, Bob Dylan, Maxwell, the Fugees, and my plan was to make pop music. The plan didn't work. I fell into gospel music, and the rest is history.
Well, and there you go. And some of the things is, you know, a breakthrough in BET, Black Entertainment Television. How much of an impact did that have on you and your music?
It had a huge impact. It was a massive turning point for us, because at that point BET was just coming into Europe, and BET is a massive machinery, and it was just another one of those. It just happened, me fall into, because it just happened that BET were coming to the UK. It just happened that someone had gotten hold of my CD and gave it to the head of BET. Now it just happened that when I was making that particular CD, we decided we'll do a DVD in the pack. So the woman gets the CD, she sees the DVD, watches it, and say, oh, this guy's okay. And it just happened that same woman, her old colleague, was a friend of mine who had been talking to her about this guy she knows in London called Muyiwa. And so when the dots are joined, she's like, oh, that's the Muyiwa that Ophie has been talking to me about all these years. And he can sing. So she gave me open doors in BET, even though I wasn't the best singer.
Sold out concerts. You mentioned about it, your former classmates. I try to think about the O2 Arena from the sports side. I've seen it packed when there's boxing, when there's tennis. But what about, you know, getting that and how it now works for you as a singer and, you know, with a Christian faith?
So just for exactitude for those, because you know now people could Google stuff. The arena, the venue I did in the O2 was the smaller one.
Yes.
Not the arena. But we've had the opportunity. I mean, we've sold out by the grace of God. We have to say, Everton Apollo, the only UK artist to have done those venues, Royal Festival Hall and all that. And it's come, for me, it's been a blessing to be able to do that as a gospel artist, because it's unusual in the UK for gospel artists to get to do that sort of thing. And that was just because time and chance, really. Time, chance and hard work, I think, because we would work hard, and the group of people I work with, some of the best musicians in the country. These are people who would tour with some of the biggest names. And so when we made music, it was good quality and people appreciated it. People didn't mind paying for tickets at venues like that.
And what is what's the whole way of, you know, trying to get people to listen to this music genre? You know, this kind of music in a country that, you know, slowly is moving towards, well, what I'll call a Vanity Fair setup.
Well, the technical people will call it secularism, but I think it's just make good music. Just make good, and that for me has always been the mantra: make good music. Same thing with TV, make good TV. That's why Turning Point has been around for 25 years. The production value is not Erica Linney, who's the producer, and her team. They don't mize on spending on production value. So I think that the key to getting people's attention, especially in the arts, do good art. And even if your religion doesn't line up with theirs, people would appreciate good art. So for me, it's about making good music. I mean, just about to release another album, the first one in 6 years, in October. And we had to go back to the basics of, let's make this album the best it musically can be. So even someone who's Buddhist, who doesn't agree with me on who Jesus is, listens to it, and they hear the drum pattern, they hear the bass line, it makes them go, ooh, yeah.
The interview is about 25 years of Turning Point coming to Kenya, but you had to fill in the shoes of Victor Ladukun.
Massive shoes.
Size 42 shoes.
No, his size actually 49.5.
And that's not, and we're not using European measurements.
Absolutely.
It's something UK. I mean, Shaq had size 22. So you can imagine what kind of shoes we are talking about.
Yeah.
But what was that moment for you when you got a call and you were told, can you fill in for Victor?
It was a surreal moment. I had been a guest on the show 7 years before I got the call. And the story of how I got on the show is a fascinating one. Actually, let me just share it with you quickly. As a pastor from my church in London, my old church in London, who had gone to America to study, who was at Regent's University, I was looking for him to see how he was doing. Ends up that he was living with Victor Ladukun. I didn't know who Victor Ladukun was. I didn't know who Turning Point was. And so I called the pastor to say hello. He picks up the phone. He says, oh, someone's been looking for you. Who's the person? The person comes on the phone and says to me, Moiwa on Premiere. Now, at this point, I'm doing radio in London, and that's the sting they had for me on the radio show. So he had been listening to radio. It then turns out that his sister-in-law had told him about this Nigerian boy on the radio station who comes on and says his full name. You know.
No, all right, just say it in full.
That's how I will introduce myself. So Victor Ladukun heard about this. He starts listening to radio show, then researches me a bit more, discovers I do music, and then invites me onto Turning Point. This is 7 years before I get the call to be the host after he's left. So when I get the call, it was one of those moments where you think it's surreal, feels like a dream, and to still be in the position doing the show 12 years later definitely is a dream, and something I'm grateful for. Grateful for coming to Kenya and hearing people say, man, you blessed me, you changed my life, yada yada yada. It's something you can't take it too lightly. You can't take it lightly at all. It's an honor.
It's got a history of CBN and all that. How do you manage at times, the perception that maybe something was on another CBN program, but Turning Point is the one that looks
bad.
Looks like this. People are the same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hide from it. It's like we're a family, and my Uncle Jeff has gone to a party, he's gotten drunk, he's gotten on the table dancing, pulled down his trousers. That's my Uncle Jeff. It's not the whole family. And so when you see me at the market and say, look at that boy, his uncle was showing his bomb. It's funny, and we look at it, but anyone with half a brain would realize, okay, that was Uncle Jeff. He just had too much to drink. This kid Muiwa had nothing to do with that. So for us, we're a family of programs. It's just like, you know how it goes. One of your presenters here does something wrong in a nightclub, and the headlines are, KBC presenter. And the K is bigger than anything else, than the presenter's name. So it's the same. And how do I deal with it? I just embrace it. It's part of it. I'm not going to disown my family because one of us needs therapy.
And in our process, as you tell the stories, 25 years, why was Kenya picked? Why not Nigeria? Why not Ghana? Why not, say, Cote d'Ivoire?
So one of the interesting things about our times, as you know, is social platforms are such a wonderful way to interact with people. So I put up a post on TPI's platform, TPI Zone on Instagram. Plug it, follow it. And I said to people, we're celebrating 25 years. What country should we visit? And Kenya was on the list. Kenya was top of the list. And there is such a fantastic relationship between Turning Point and Kenya, not just in terms of the reception, the support, the stories we get to hear. So it was a no-brainer to be able to come. And actually, the Johnson who I mentioned earlier on, his story to date is still one of the most watched stories of Turning Point International. So we thought, let's come here and revisit. I mean, it's like, you know, your family would always visit the family that's nicest to you. The ones that abuse you, I'm not saying any country abuses us, but Kenya has been good to TPI. And so we're back here to reconnect with the people who used to watch it as well, so that we can do another 25 years of enjoyment together.
And also, now, as some of the activities and stories that you know may want to pick up, what can we look out for in the programs that will be coming?
You can look at for much of the same but better. Storytelling is what we do. I mean, when you think from the producer to the presenter, you're talking about people who. The people who make these stories that you watch are not people who are perfect themselves. These are people who have struggled with cancer in real life, and they've beaten cancer. You're talking about a presenter who was called dumb by everyone, even his own family, yet to be in a place where he's the only person in the UK that does what he does, that's gotten an OBE from Her Majesty the Queen. So our stories, our massive turning points. And so what we're looking for are stories that will change people's lives, that would be also entertaining, but because you turn on your TV, look at CNN, look at BBC, look at all the major platforms, first 3-4 headlines are usually bad news.
Yeah, that's the whole story.
And we've become conditioned to that as human beings, that we could, okay, someone's just killed someone in America, okay, this president just started a war with someone, and we just think that normal. For us, we want to make the normal to be, you turn on your TV, you hear that someone was going through divorce and they felt there was no hope, but God made a difference. We want to make that normal.
Well, and you know, you said you'd sing at the end. I prodded you and gave us just one.
Oh, I thought you'd forgotten.
No. I haven't forgotten. And so, 6 years, you haven't done
a live recording.
So, but I'll ask you something that, you know, is in Yoruba.
In Yoruba?
Yes.
Ooh, I love me some Yoruba.
Yes.
I love me some Yoruba.
And then you tell us how you would sing the same in English. So one verse in Yoruba, one in English.
Okay. So the album that I have coming out, I mean, it's actually, there's bits of it in Yoruba. Yeah, you're right. There's bits of it in Yoruba. It's out in October, so you can check it out. But the song I want to sing, this one, I've got a choir from Denmark. Now imagine a choir of white folks singing these words. It goes, bo bo go lo yeah oh, ba ba lo yeah oh, ba ba. I'm gonna hide some of it. The rest of it you can enjoy on YouTube. But that says, all the glory belongs to you, Father. All the glory belongs to you, Father, because indeed, when I look at my history, look at my biography, look at those around me, if it not, to borrow from the psalmist, a writer in the Bible says, if it not been for the Lord who was on our side, if it not been for the Lord who was on our side, when the enemy came in like a flood, we'd have died, but our soul escaped like a bird out of the snare of the fowler. That's why we say, Bobo golo yeo baba. All the glory belongs to you.
And you know what? You know in Swahili, the name for father?
No.
Baba.
Baba.
Yes.
Because Ibaba.
Well, Muyiwa Olarewaju, thank you very much. And remember, every Sunday morning on KBC Channel 1, you can get to hear him tell the stories of people whose lives have been changed. He kept saying about the turning points he had in his life. Interesting now that he's hosting a program that is known as Turning Point. 25 years on KBC Channel 1, and thank you very much for being our guest on The Living Legends. My name is Daniel Wahome. Keep it locked on KBC Channel 1.
If you are a holder of any unclaimed financial assets, surrender all unclaimed financial assets in your possession to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, today without having to pay interest or penalties. Take advantage of the Finance Act 2022 moratorium on penalties and interests. For more information, visit www.ufaa.go.ke/holders. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
On point kama suti za burale.
Selection moto kila wiki.
Tandale. Atwende geto uko.
Jiunga nasi DJ Leo.
Kona pato la ngata kando ya bomba.
Na DJ D.
Haina life uko utainiona. Baniko huku saa usulize mbona.
This and every Sunday from 2 p.m. No one does it better.
Missing?
Yes.
Missing how?
He's been missing for a while now.
Mtu mzima ata miss